The Hall manager was quite clear. The fact that Middlesbrough and Coventry have been sniffing around Hall players didn't help to the defeat at Bristol City. What do you think? Welcome back to 20 minutes of Hall City chat, where Tigers walk. Delighted to have your company for another week. So this week we're focusing on, have heads been turned? Can we look at that performance in Bristol and what can we read into it? Do you blame Coventry City as well as many other Hull fans? Plus we've got Ben here to talk about the Ryan Giles redemption arc being halted before it even got going. More thoughts on that? Or is it fair to throw Ryan Giles under the bus? Is he just becoming the new scapegoat? Plus we're talking about what's the biggest derby in the Championship this season, and the third kit we hear potentially has been leaked. We're not certain, but we believe this might be along the lines. Do we like it? If so. So more on that as we get to it. Welcome along. Thank you very much for being with us. And we're growing a nice little Hull City community here. Can you help us get to the magic 400 by pressing that subscribe button? Go and do it now. Right, Ben. Last week, in your absence on holiday, we were blaming stomach bugs and the runs for the loss at towards Blackburn. This week we're blaming Coventry and Borough. Are you buying it?
I think there's obviously an element of that will be in sort of the very back of the players' minds, but I don't think you can put the full blame on a poor performance like that on something that's not really relevant to what's happening on the pitch. So there might be a little bit of it which is true, but I don't think you can. I don't think you can blame it on something like that.
Yeah, I mean, Tiger Beck it was very clear how distracted Ivor and Charlie were, but it wasn't just their individual performances the problem. We are defensively frail. Slater is out of his depth. Even Egan looked shaky at many points. Akintola looked strong. Joseph Weller and goal. Lots to unpick there. Let's focus on the defensive element though. Ben, yes, 3 conceded against Oxford, 3 conceded against Blackburn, 4 conceded here. What's going on?
I don't know. We've just, in almost all the games, obviously, except for the Coventry game, which was evidently now a really good result based on how they're doing, we've just shipped so many goals. And I think we're obviously quite confident and competent in attack. We'd be able to score goals quite freely at times, but just the midfield has been almost non-existent the last 2 games. And I think it goes to show how much of a presence Matt Crooks has had when he's played. He's also been alongside John Lundstrom, who's obviously had a lot of experience in the Championship and has probably been one of the better players that we've had this season. So I think the loss of Crooks, although I think he should hopefully be back by the end of the international break, has been evident. And I think that's left quite a big hole to fill. And in fairness, McCarthy last week, I think he played all right, but he was scapegoated a little bit, obviously, because he's a young kid coming in. Everyone's always going to pin it on him for the blame. Slater has been a common theme the last season and a half. He's not been at his best, unfortunately. And I think I just don't know with him. I think it's hard to blame it on him because there's a lot of poor showings on Saturday. But yeah, I think we do. If there's anywhere that before the end of the window we need to strengthen, it's got to be the midfield, because it's almost like we're being bypassed and then it's just throwing the defence under the bus, I think.
Last week, Matty and Jackie were on holiday themselves. This week, we spoke about Pando a bit, Ben, and some comments following the Blackburn game. He was looking shaky. Hasn't really had the best of starts. Lots of fans that I've seen have saying just sell him, just get rid. Simon says sell Sander, Pando, sorry, ASAP. Free in Slater for free. Keep Hughes for the season and flog him to a Premier League side next summer for twice as much as Coventry have offered. Let's hope the new look can help with non-existent creativity in midfield. and start Balumi as soon as. Do you disagree with anything on there?
I think the main thing I disagree with is selling Panda. I think the situation that we find ourselves in, won't spend me to replace someone like that. I don't think it's the best idea to sell him now. Although we would obviously get a decent amount of cash from Borough if he was to go there. I've seen Leicester linked with him as well. I just don't think we can afford to lose such a key player like Pandor. Obviously, we've seen Phillips against Wrexham, and he was a bit, obviously, slightly to blame for their 2 late goals. But yeah, I agree with the Hughes statement. I think it's probably best for both parties to stay on for this season, and then I'd understand if he was to go at the end of this season. Obviously, I think he's probably warranting a Premier League move by the end of this season, as long as he stays fit and has a good season himself. But yeah, I think, like they said in that statement, the new fella, I don't want to try and pronounce his surname, but Amir, I think he's called. Hopefully he does, as they said, fill that void in the middle, because it's quite evident that is where we're struggling at the minute.
Okay, let's try and stay on the positive tracks for away losses. It's pretty hard too. Akintola looked better on the right hand side. People say, agree?
Yeah, I think he was quite solid. He had a lot of moments where he was able to show his pace. Obviously, quite a good assist for the Gelhardt goal. But yeah, I think some people were posting on social media saying that he was poor, but I think he was probably one of the better players for City on Saturday. And obviously Joseph as well has worked so hard to try and get that goal, and he's finally got it. And he did say in his post-match interview saying that it will do him the world of good, like his confidence. So fingers crossed that'll help him. Obviously he's got the competition with McBurney, and hopefully that'll help him kick on a little bit this season. But yeah, I think Akintola was quite promising, in all honesty. And yeah, I don't see why not start him, and then maybe Balumi as well, if we're able to get him back into the starting 11, obviously after the international break. But yeah, I think Akintola was quite solid, and I don't see where the complaints can come for me. Yeah, I thought he had a good game.
Okay, we'll get on to Ryan Giles in a second. Before that, let's talk the manager, though. Matthew Clark says, the manager will be gone by November if we carry on defending like this. People talk about it being better to watch. Well, that defending is unwatchable. I'd rather watch a Sellers team defending properly. What's the point being good going forward if you concede 3 every game? Yeah, and I think I said you conceded 3 to Oxford. I meant 2. What do you take of that take?
I think there is a point there where being good offensively is one thing, but you also need to be solid at the back, especially in the Championship, where any slight mistake is going to get punished no matter who you play. But I don't think that he'll be gone. I know I said this last time with Tim Volter, but I think he will get given the season. And I think a lot of the fans, compared to last season with Tim Volter, a lot of the fans are more confident this season, even though we've had a couple of dodgy results, obviously 4-2, 3-0 in the last 2 games. But the way that he speaks to the press in his post-match interviews, all that sort of stuff, even after a loss like that away from home, it almost gives you a bit of reassurance that the next game will be different, and they'll try their best to work on what needs to be improved. And obviously the international break is time for the manager and the team to work on the defensive side. So I think he will last the season, and I think he's obviously been cherry picked by Atchon, and I think he's probably the one that is most suited to his so-called style, where he wants to win by 3 or 4 goals to whatever, instead of like a 0-0 game, like we did see a few times with Sayers. So yeah, I think he will get the benefit of the doubt and stay the season, but there is a point there where defensively, work does need to be done, and we need to improve.
Quick word on Sayers while we're on his name. Are you surprised with what's been going on at the bottom of the table?
Yeah, I think I am, to be honest. I thought, obviously, I wasn't. I don't want to sound too. I wasn't really disappointed. I was one of the ones on the side of maybe it was the right decision because of the way the games went last season, and I thought he'd have a better start, I must admit, in Sheffield, but I am very surprised that 4 losses out of 4 and the way that the fans have turned on him so quickly is crazy, considering we're not even currently, as of speaking right now, we're not even past the window. So yeah, I am surprised with the way it's going, but it wouldn't surprise me to see him the first gone, unfortunately.
Yeah, and even before this video gets sent out, of course, that may have happened. Fans calling for Dyche. Right, back to Hull City then, and yes, a couple of weeks ago, then we were talking after the Oxford game about the Ryan Giles redemption story. This one was it's the BMT. Some to debate here. So yes, is it coming to an abrupt end? And does Brandon Williams deserve the next start? So 2 binary answers there, Ben, for you to get your teeth into. What do you reckon?
I think it's harsh because obviously he's had throughout his time at City, he has not been the player that he was obviously at Middlesbrough, but I think he's had a few good games this season, and I'll be the first. I know the lads have gone back on their statements, but I'll hold my hands up and retract some of the statements I may have made when he was back on loan at Borough last season. But yeah, I think it is fair to say that Brandon Williams is probably deserving of some minutes. I think he's been given a few, but probably not enough, considering the quality that he has. I know that I think they're getting him and Coyle 45 minutes with the under-21s this week. So hopefully that'll get him. Maybe it's a fitness thing. Maybe it'll get him back to fitness, but yeah, I think it's harsh to blame it on Ryan Giles because there was a few times, obviously, it was slightly at fault for, I think it was their second goal where Pandor played it out to him and then he was almost in no man's land with no one to play it to. Sometimes in that case, you just need to hoof it. Yeah, I think based on how he was before this season in City colours, I think it's almost like scapegoating this time around because he's played well, and then as soon as he has one poor game, it's like everyone's right back at his neck. And I think it's unfair to blame it all on him because, as I said earlier, there's been a few poor performances across the team in the last couple.
Just to balance it out then, Yorkshire Tiger says the lad has one bad game. There are 10 other players on that pitch that also weren't good enough, so I find it strange that our fan base goes from Giles is looking great to all of a sudden one bad game, he's awful. I don't get it. We need to stop using players as scapegoats. Giles has become the new Kamara. I see you nodding along with that. Wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think it's very typical of City, especially City fans on social media, to as soon as one player has a slightly poor performance, they will jump on it, and that'll be the reason why we've lost. Yeah, he might have not played well, but as they said in that post, there was a lot of other poor performances against Bristol City. So it is harsh, and I don't think he should become the next scapegoat because quite clearly there's quality there. So hopefully this season is the season that we see that for City.
Thanks, Ben. Let's move on to transfer chat. Now, we're recording this just 24 hours before the window's going to close, so we might have lots more to talk about when we meet again in a couple of weeks' time. But, yeah, the ins and outs, Kamara, officially been announced, but from what we understand, that's the end of his time at Hull City. Thoughts on that? Is that a mistake?
I think it's a shame because obviously he's still a very young lad, and he quite clearly has talent. We've seen it in glimpses, but it's just unfortunate because I don't think he's really put in 100%, even though he's had the competition from obviously Miller and Bellumi last season, Bellumi again this season. Obviously, Akintola's come in and Dala's come in. He's not quite. You'd expect a player when they've got competition for that place to up their game a little bit, and I don't think he did that. Really looked a little bit lackadaisical in pre-season, so didn't quite get off to the best start. But yeah, obviously it's a shame. As I said, he's still a young player, so there is a lot of potential there for him to flourish and become a much better player than we've seen. But I think for both parties, it's probably the right decision. Obviously, we've got a decent amount of depth on both sides now, so a sad one because we had a lot of expectations last season when he came in, but it's one of those you just sort of thank him for his contributions. Obviously made some big ones last season in some key games, and then move on from it.
Okay. All right. Next week, then we'll review how in 2 weeks when we return back, of course, we'll review how the transfer window has gone. It's derby season's kicking off when we come back after the international break. We've got the South Coast derby returns. We've got South London derby, of course, as well. Yeah. For you guys, first of all, are you happy at Grimsby's result the other day across from the other side of the Humber?
Obviously they're probably our nearest rival, but we've not played them in absolutely donkey's years. We've not been near them in terms of league position, but it's always nice to see a big team get knocked out by a smaller team. So yeah, I enjoyed watching that one. It was quite amusing because obviously Manchester United fans give it the big one on everywhere when they get drawn against a small team like that. They go there, they lose, and then yeah, it's just one of them where it's quite amusing when you see the full-time result.
Yeah. In terms of derbies for yourself, then obviously it's just the Sheffield clubs and possibly Borough, isn't it? This year, do you miss the kind of the Yorkshire banter with Leeds at all, or is it nice not to have them around?
I think, as much as I hate to say it, it's nice not to have them around because a lot of the time we do lose against them. It will be nice to see how they get on in the Premier League. Hopefully not very well, but other than Leeds, Sheffield Wednesday is the closest for us.
Yeah.
We know what's going on with them. So,
what do you think is the biggest derby then in the Championship this season?
I think it's probably, for me, it's going to be between Ipswich and Norwich, and probably Sheffield Wednesday, Sheffield United. Obviously, there's Portsmouth and Southampton, but I think, obviously, with is it Nunez going from Norwich to Ipswich, there's going to be a bit of added extra bit to that, and then Wednesday and United both down there at the bottom of the table, which is quite amusing in itself. There's obviously going to be a bit of added stuff to that, obviously with the way that Wednesday are this season. But yeah, I think in terms of the biggest, it's probably the Steel City derby. The others are big in their own ways, but I think into the amount of coverage and the amount of hype that gets behind each one, I think it is probably Sheffield United and Sheffield Wednesday.
Right. Okay. And finally, then this week, we're talking about third kits. And before we get to that, obviously you were missing last week. Your thoughts on the away kit? We were kind of having a debate whether you liked it or not in your absence last week.
Very nice.
Yes, I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very, very nice.
The other two found it a little bit, uninspiring, I think was one of the words that was used. Right then, yes, we're not certain as to whether this will end up being, but what would be your thoughts if this turns out to be the third kit?
I don't know. we do seem to have some dodgy third kits in under Atchin's reign, and yeah, I'm not sure on this one at all. I think obviously the idea of the tiger in the pattern is a good one, but the colours are just a bit sickening. Bright blue, dark blue, the amber is yeah, not for me.
Yeah, maybe it's just a photograph here, but the amber's a little too yellow, isn't it? And yeah, the pattern is. I didn't spot there's a tiger in there till you just said. So yeah, I can just about make out ahead. Yeah, let us know your thoughts, of course, on the rumored third kit. Right, 2 weeks off. Then is this international break coming at a good time for Hull? Do you think, just to get the last bit of stomach bug out the camp and get a few players back?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, it'll give us time to reflect on Blackburn and Bristol City, the defeats there, and hopefully improve defensive crooks. And I think Femewo will be back as well. Maybe a few new signings, we'll see. But yeah, I think it probably has come at quite a good time considering the last two results for City.
Okay, boom. Right, well, we'll give you a week off to next week to gather all your thoughts. And thank you very much, of course, for joining us yet again. Do press that subscribe button, do press the like button, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time as we